Welcome everyone to another Wednesday night to the Fundamentals to Gain Inner Peace with your host, Coach Menachem Bernfeld. And tonight we are doing class number 9. It's week 9. Week 9 of the 10-week course. And for all of those who are part of the course, it's amazing. We're almost done. You're doing great. Like I always say, no matter what it looks like, we're not stopping, continuing, and whatever it is, whatever comes up, it's valid. It is what it is. And tonight, hopefully at the end, hopefully in a half hour, we will get to understand what does loving yourself unconditionally mean, and if it's possible. Now, this is what we're going to be discussing. Again, it's a topic that we can talk about for weeks, but just the idea, we'll plant some seeds, and with these ideas, you'll take it home, think about it, read more about it in the book, and you'll see where it takes you. See what comes up. So last week, week number 8, first we find time to take a 15-minute bath or a shower. I hope you found some time to do that at least once, and if you enjoyed it, you can do it more than once, and after that, you do the 15-minute breathing. So hopefully that worked. And the conscious response last week was, I forgive myself. And I know for many, different emotions come up, different feelings, and it's not always so easy to forgive myself. You know, everybody has their stories, their things, their thoughts, their beliefs about themselves. And sometimes it's hard. And especially when you're talking about the concept of I forgive myself unconditionally, which we're going to see, you know, this coming week. Number 9 is I love myself unconditionally, but let's not go there. Let's wait a minute. To love yourself, you first have to forgive yourself. And forgiving yourself is no matter what. It is a deep concept to be able to forgive yourself, even if you were at fault. Yeah, it's possible. But again, maybe you were young, maybe you something, you were in a different situation. But whatever the story is, even if you did something wrong, you can forgive yourself and be there for yourself now, and say, oh, you're still okay. Maybe you have to fix it or learn for next time, but you can forgive yourself. So it is a concept that's not so easy. And then we'll see this week, week number 9, we take it to the next level. The conscious response is I love myself unconditionally. Love myself unconditionally, no matter what my thoughts are, what I did, where I am, doesn't make a difference. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight a little bit. So before we go there, as usual, let's get grounded. We can't forget, we try to get grounded Wednesday nights, at least once a week. Take a deep breath, both feet on the floor, try to relax, and take a moment to reflect, become aware of the now. Where am I? My environment. How did I get here? What my day looked like? And then we turn inwards to see, how do I feel? How do I feel now? Where do I feel it? Where in my body do I feel? Whatever feelings it is, just feel it. And just breathe. We don't judge. We don't have any stories attached to anything. We're just aware of the moment, aware of how I feel. That's it. I'm not trying to change anything. Beautiful. Okay, if you have time, you can do that every night, a few times a day, because you deserve it. Take some time off. So now let's start. Week number 9. So this week also, you'll find at least once that you can take a 15-minute bath and you stay there, even though you're done after 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and you're like, what am I doing here? Just keep on breathing and see what comes up. Some people enjoy it. Some people love it. Some people want to stay for longer. Others want to get out. And it's too hard for them to stay in that bath more than 2 minutes. So just be aware of that and try to stay there, put on a timer, 50 minutes. Just sit and relax. And then afterwards, the breathing. The conscious response for week number 9 is I love myself unconditionally. So like we mentioned, that different thoughts, different ideas are going to come up. Sometimes it's not clear, we're confused. And this might be another time that you might tell yourself, I love myself unconditionally, but it doesn't sit right. But that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to figure it out. This is what, when you have time during the day for the next week, just say over, I love myself unconditionally. And after doing the work from last week, it could be a little bit easier after understanding that we forgive ourselves. Then we can go to I love myself. But again, we're doing 1 week at a time. Many times this needs much more than a week. But this is the journey. This is the concept that we're picking up. Eventually, you'll be able to do the journey again, continue it, start from week 1, keep on doing it, and different ideas come up. But for now, here we are. We're almost at the end. And next week, we're going to put it all together. But for this week, I love myself unconditionally. And the reading for this week has 3 parts. And I'm going to talk about them briefly. Yeah, again, they're deep concepts, but we'll discuss it. You can read it in the book. And think about it more during the week. So the 3 readings are: number 1, to understand our definition of love. And I know many are confused with that. What does love mean? What am I looking for? And the truth is, that's something that we all want. We all want to be loved. We all want to be recognized. We want to be accepted. But we'll talk about it. What is that love that we're looking for? How we picked it up when we're young, the subconscious idea, and what it really is. The other part of the reading is called manipulation, is to see how we try to change things. We try to change. We don't want it to be this way, we want it to be that way. We would, try to do different things. And we're constantly running our whole life trying to make things different. We don't like the way it is. So manipulation. And the third reading is giving unconditionally is receiving. And it's a concept we heard in the past, but to understand it takes time. Giving unconditionally, just to give, is then you receive. You receive yourself. So let's understand these 3 parts. So the first one, trying to understand the definition of love, how we picked it up, subconscious or unconscious when we're very young. What is it? What is love? What do we all want? What are we all looking for? So like I said, basically, without using the word love, it's to be accepted, to feel part of, not to be rejected. You don't want to have that feeling of loneliness. You want to be part of. You want people to accept you. In other words, to love you. The thing is that what we pick up when we're young, many times it makes it impossible for us to feel that way. So he explains it in the book. Many times when we're young, what we're asking for is love, and we don't get it. we didn't get it back like we discussed last week. It might be we got it conditionally. When things work out and you're doing the right thing, that's when you got the love. But when you needed it, if you know, a young kid doesn't know how to ask for it, so whether they make trouble or they cry, whatever it is, they want that love just so that you're there with them. They didn't get. So eventually they learn that it's conditional, that the love is conditional. So now this cycle continues when you get older. If we don't do the work that we're doing, this cycle continues. So that's the unconditional, that's the subconscious definition. You might not even be aware of it, but many times what we experience is a lack. We lack that feeling of acceptance. We lack the feeling of love. We feel lonely. And basically a lot of negative emotions come up. And it's based on the subconscious, what we picked up. Now, again, it's different. Everybody has their own story when we grew up, but it manifests in the same way. It's a feeling, a negative feeling. When you're looking for love, you basically find yourself in a place where you feel negative, because when you were young and you were looking for love, you probably didn't get it. It could be it was conditional, so you never got that unconditional love. What we want is that love, and it always goes back to that negative feeling because it's only conditional, or maybe it's even worse. You know, your parents or the adult in the room might be screaming at you. Let's say you're throwing a tantrum. All they do is try to shut you up, you know. So you're getting that negative emotion, negative feelings. So unconsciously we create the same thing. That's how the cycle continues. And that's when we get older. So that's the subconscious when we're very young. Now, when we get older, talk about love. The teenage years. So we pick up love from the world. The world gives us our adult definition. What's the adult definition of love? Take a moment and think about it. What do you think a teenager thinks about love? Oh, when they get married, everything is going to work out. It's going to be amazing. They're going to have children together, and everything is going to be happily after, and it's going to be beautiful. So that's the definition that they get when they get older. We all get that, you know, until we experience that. Wait a second, you know, there were so many things that I wanted and I'm not getting it. Like, hello, please, no, why are you not giving me all that lack that I feel? So we have to realize that that's also conditional. We're looking for that love based on what the other person is going to do, and hopefully does everything right. They understand me. They know what's my triggers, because if I don't want them to press my buttons, you know, so we want everything to work out like a cherry on the pie. But it doesn't always work out that way. So again, the definition of love when we get older, the adult definition of love, is also conditional. We think we can get what I want, everything I need. But you find out, wait a second, it doesn't always work that way. And there's one thing that you do find out, especially, you know, it's really in any relationship, but he uses the example of marriage because that's where it really hits home. But it's any relationship that you expect the other person to give you what you need. But what it really does is it tells you what your buttons are. It tells you what you don't want. They really tell you what the things that you don't like, what you don't want. Basically, that's what happens. And you become aware of the things that irk you, your buttons, presses your buttons, the things that don't work. So these are the two definitions: the unconscious, the subconscious when you were young, and then you have the adult definition of love when you get older. And basically, if you walk around with these definitions, you're going to hit a wall. And you're going to keep this cycle if you're not aware of it. So the question is, what do we do? How do we figure this out? So what we really need to figure out is, what's that thing that I need? What am I looking for? What am I missing? And how do we do that? Is by asking ourselves, what do I feel when it's not working out? After that day, you had a hard day. Relationship is not working out. They're pressing your buttons. So stop for a moment and become aware of, what do you feel? You're missing something inside of you. So we want to become aware of that feeling. And that's how we're going to define what's that thing that you're looking for, and you're expecting the other to fill it up. And when you don't get it from them, then you feel that's missing. So what is it? So that's the question you're going to ask yourself. What do I feel afterwards when things are not working out? I had a bad day. Something is not, I'm not happy. What's that feeling? And that's how we become aware. So that's step number one, just to feel when you're not in a good place, you're not in a good mood, people are pressing your buttons. Find some time where you can sit and feel the feeling. What's that feeling that comes up when it doesn't work out? And then by sitting and understanding that feeling, eventually we can integrate. We can understand that we can get it from ourselves, but first understand, what am I looking for? So the question is, how do I know when I've integrated that definition that I picked up when I was young? How do we know that I can move on? One of the ways is we stop looking for love from other people. As long as you're looking other people to fill you up, to give it to you because you're missing it and you need them to give it to you, then you might be disappointed. And that's when you're still in that cycle that I need other people to give me what I need. But if you stop looking at other people and you stop looking for love from others, and eventually we learn how to love ourselves, and we can love ourselves unconditionally, and we can feel good about ourselves, feel enough with that, and eventually that fills us up. So that's self-love, not from other people, myself. Now again, this concept is a very deep concept. To get there takes time, and especially for beginners. Somebody who is a beginner on this journey, and you're going to tell them, stop looking around to see if people treat you the way you want, and stop expecting other people to give you what you need. Start giving it to yourself. That's not so easy. And then many times you have the belief that you don't deserve. I should love myself. Well, I really know what's wrong with me. I'm the only one that knows. So that's why we need unconditional love. It doesn't make a difference. It makes no difference. You start filling yourself up with a little bit of love from yourself and not from others. So that's that concept. And that's the mirror effect that we discussed in the past, to see, first of all, to see who is that person around us that's pressing our buttons, and then eventually we stop pointing fingers and we look inside. How do I feel? What do I need? What am I looking for? And then I can fill myself up, be there for myself. So that's part one of the reading. Please read it again, see how he writes it. Very interesting. Basically, this is the idea of understanding what love is, what are we looking for, and stop looking from the outside and filling it up from the inside. The second reading is called manipulation. Also, like, we try to change things. We try to manipulate the things that happen, our circumstance. We want to change different ideas. It should work out for us, work out the way, we should be happy. But if we're still going on that old cycle, if we're still going with that unconscious idea of love, no matter what you're going to do, you're always going to hit a wall. You're not going to like whatever it is. You'll try to change this, try to change that. There are always things going to come up. And you're always going to be in that place of never enough. You're not going to feel good. You're going to need more, need something else. And it's always living in that place of lack. So here's a concept he brings in the book. There are three ideas of when we need something. He says, number one is things that you need. Number two is the things that you want. The third one is a requirement. Okay, so the things that you need is the necessary things like food, water, oxygen, and so on. These are the necessary things. These are the things that you need. And I hope you have them. Take care of yourself, the basics. These are the things that you need. And then there are things that you want. All those things that we think that when I get it, I'll feel better. I want this, I want that. And all of those wants is just something that you think is gonna, you think it's gonna make you feel better, but really it's an escape from those uncomfortable feelings that are coming up. You could think about it, if I have a car, a better car, bigger house, more money, I want that. I want, you want it. It's not something you need. You want it because you think when I'll have that, I'll feel much better. So that's the wants. And then the requirements is interesting concept, is everything that happens in front of us. Something that comes up in front of you, something you have to take care of, talking to a person at work, relationship, whatever it is, that's a requirement to be there. So there are two ways you can either respond or react. Like we discussed in the past. If you're not conscious, usually we react to these situations. It's every minute, things happen, you react, so you push it away, you say no, whatever. Reaction the whole time. But we're learning how to respond, and we're responding to the requirements, things that are just happening now in the moment. That's what he calls requirements. It's the now. And we're learning how to react, not to react, to respond. Consciously see, okay, what's happening now? What do I do about it? Okay, now, what do they need from me? What am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? You're responding, you're not reacting. So that's the requirements. So that's the three things. Well, number one is the needs. Number two is the wants. And number three, requirements. But the main thing is to realize that want is something that you think that when you get it, your life will be amazing. That's when everything will be good. I want that. I want this. And things are going to feel better. And basically what you're doing is really running away from that uncomfortable feeling that you have inside. And you think by having that thing outside, it's going to help. But that's conditional. It's conditional. When I have that I'll feel good. So your good feeling is based on what? Something outside, when you have it. So that's the second concept. And the third one, he goes into the idea of giving unconditionally is receiving. So what does that mean? So you ask a kid, as a child, we grow up when we get things, getting by taking is receiving. We get things and that's when I get. But if you think about it, the idea is that you're missing something. It's coming from a lack. Number one, that you're missing something. Number two is when you get it from that other person, then the other person doesn't have it anymore. So basically, it's an idea of whatever you're going to do, somebody's going to be missing something, either you or them. So just to realize when, you grow up with that idea that when I getting stuff is receiving, it's basically coming from a place of lack. And the same thing is when we want something. We're looking for something outside. Like we said, it could be a car, a house, things. It's all tangible, things that you think when I have it, I'll feel good. But the truth is, it's not really that thing that you're gonna get that's gonna make you, that's not what you're looking for. Let's talk about a nice car. Okay, what's gonna happen after you get that better car, a nicer car, different model? What's that feeling you're gonna have? It's that feeling that you think you're gonna get after you get that tangible thing, that conditional thing, that thing outside. When I get that, then I'll feel what? You fill in the blank. What are you gonna feel? So that's really what you're missing. You're trying to fill it up with something conditional. Doesn't last. You're gonna need something else. So how do we fix that? And again, we're not here to fix it, but how do we become aware of that feeling? That feeling. So we have to ask ourselves, what is that feeling that I have that the reason why I want that? Why do I feel I want that? What's the feeling I want? What am I missing? And just sit. Why do I need more money in the bank? Why do I want a bigger house? Why do I want a different car? Why do I want things to change? Something doesn't work out in your day, you want it to change. Why? Because when it's this way, I feel, and you fill in the blank. What's that feeling? And that's really what you're looking for. That's what you're missing. And you think that you're going to be able to fill it up by getting that condition. But that's conditional love. We're looking for unconditional love. And the only thing is, the only way you can do it is by yourself to get that feeling. So let's talk about an example. Let's say you're at work and somebody has a better job, and you feel if you have their position, then you're going to feel what? You want to get their position. Why? Because then I'll feel more successful. In other words, now you don't feel successful, or you don't feel as successful when you get that position. So that's what you have to become aware of, that feeling. So now, and then you ask yourself, how does it feel to be successful now? Could you stop for a moment? Close your eyes, imagine that you are successful. How does that feel? Start feeling that you're looking for now, even though you don't have it yet. You don't have that. You don't have that condition. Start feeling what it feels like. So a lot of people would say, I don't know what it feels like to be successful. So number one, you could imagine you do get that position. How would that feel? Oh, if I get that position, oh. So let me hear. I want to hear that. Oh, I want to hear that feeling. That's number one. And what are you missing now? If you don't get that position, what's going to happen? Let's say you never get that position. What are you going to feel? And then you start feeling like it's not working out. You're worthless. You're not successful. Exactly. That's what you're missing. Now let's imagine how it feels. And you start feeling that way, even though you don't have it. And that's what it means to feel unconditional. Not when I have that job, not when I have that car, their house, their bank account. I can feel it now because it's a feeling. And because it's a feeling, nothing can change that feeling. You can change it for a week or two, but then you're going to feel the same way. So what you really need is that unconditional love, that unconditional feeling, and you start feeling it now. Practice and try to imagine that you have it already and feel it now. And again, this is also a very hard concept because you might ask, what do you mean? I don't have that job. When I have it, I'll feel it. I don't have it now. That's true. So it might be hard. You might think, when other people recognize me, when they validate, they accept, that's when I'll feel love. But it all starts with yourself. Start recognizing yourself, validate yourself, accept yourself. And that's when we become aware of our stories that we tell ourselves. It's really something inside of us that's saying, you're not successful. You're going to be successful when you have that job, but now you're not. So you feel you're not successful. Just tell yourself you are successful. Feel successful. Accept yourself. You love yourself. You forgive yourself. And that's why you're not going to need anything outside to fill you up. You will be able to fill yourself up. And it's unconditionally because it's not based on anything, not based on something outside of you. It's just the way you accept yourself, how you relate to yourself. And that's how we eventually fill ourselves up. Okay, I know it's a lot tonight. I'll take a deep breath, and you could also. It's a lot of information. It's a deep concept. But this is what it is. And I'm happy to be here. We're doing number 10 next week. And we're bringing it all together. Week number 10, last week. And the next week, the conscious response is going to be, I appreciate what I am. It's just going to bring everything together. I just appreciate where I am, what I am. You start appreciating. And then you start feeling something is, has changed. You're like, wow, the whole world around you looks different. And I'm sure many of you can start feeling it already with the work that you've done till now. So that's going to be next week. Next week in Menachem, we'll do the class Tuesday night, one day earlier. And hopefully you get to finish the reading till Tuesday. But if not, there's no rush. We're not stopping after, we can continue afterwards. And that's it for tonight. So again, I want to thank you all for being here on this journey, whether it's your first time being here Wednesday night or you're part of the course, wherever you are. Thank yourself for taking some time off, taking some time for yourself. The recordings are available on menachembernfeld.com. The fundamentals to gain inner peace. You can get all the recordings over there. And any questions that come up while you're on the journey, you can always email it to coachmenachem@gmail.com. And keep up the good work, whatever you're doing, with the breathing, the reading, the bath, the shower, whatever works for you. Keep it up, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday night, Mr. Shem. Have a good night and a great week. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.